Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 18th Annual Dancing Under the Stars Gala. My name is Lori Kerrigan, and I have the great honor of serving as chair of the board for St. Joseph's Hospice.
It's wonderful to be here with you tonight. I'm Kelly Chartrand, and I'm truly privileged to serve as the Executive Director of St. Joseph's Hospice. We have an extraordinary evening planned for you, one that celebrates not only the important work we do, but also the generous support of people like you, our incredible donors and friends. St. Joseph's Hospice provides both resident care and community-based programs for individuals in their final stages of life, as well as compassionate support for their families. Events like tonight's gala, along with your generosity, are essential to achieving our fundraising goals year after year. What many may not realize is that less than half of St. Joseph's Hospice's funding comes from the government. In fact, we're responsible for fundraising 57% of our annual operating budget. This year, that amounts to $2.4 million. Fundraising is absolutely critical to ensuring that we can continue offering these invaluable services free of charge to those who need it most. Our mission to serve the Sarnia-Lambton community truly depends on the generosity of people like you. I want to express our deepest gratitude to all of you for your continued support. Many of you have been part of this event since its inception, and your loyalty means the world to us. For those joining us for the first time, welcome, and we hope that this becomes an annual tradition for you as well.
On behalf of the Board of Directors, our dedicated staff and volunteers, I'd like to extend special thanks to our Supernova sponsor, Kelgore Limited, for their tremendous support. I'd also like to recognize our North Star sponsors, Howell Data Systems, Liuna Local 1089, and the Judith and Norman Alex Foundation. Your generosity is vital to our success, and we deeply appreciate your continued support. We are also incredibly grateful to our Shooting Star sponsors, Culinary Catering, CIMS Limited, Enbridge, Galloway Roofing, Drazzy's Pizza, JD Lawn Service, NGL Supply, Nova, RBC Dominion Securities, the Hill Madeiros Group, RL Design, Sarnia Anti-Aging Clinic, Siskins Law Firm, and all of the other sponsors listed in tonight's program. Your support makes it possible for us to continue the essential work of the hospice. A heartfelt thank you to our gala host, John DeGroot, who has generously provided this stunning venue for 18 consecutive years. John, your unwavering support allows us to gather as a community to celebrate and sustain this meaningful cause. Thank you to you and your dedicated team. This evening, we are joined by 805 guests and over 130 incredible volunteers. I'd like to extend a huge thank you to all of the volunteers and everyone who worked tirelessly to transform DeGroot's Nurseries into the beautiful venue you see tonight. Special thanks to our Gala Steering Committee and Decorating Committee. Your creativity and hard work truly shines through. We hope you enjoyed tonight's celebration, filled with wonderful food, fantastic music, and the warmth of great friends. It promises to be a night to remember. Lastly, St. Joseph's Hospice extends our heartfelt thanks to the Larry Gordon family for allowing us to share their personal experience in tonight's video. Thank you to all.
My name is Penny Gordon, Larry's wife of 50 years.
And I am Lindsay Geresi, his daughter. My father, Larry Gordon, was the beloved voice of Sarnia-Lambton at Blackburn Radio News as the news director for over 40 years, and proudly served as a Point Edward counselor for 2 terms spanning 8 years. My dad was actually almost indescribable with words. He was the patriarch of our family. He kept us grounded, calm, and a strong, loving unit. We live each day remembering him and his love. He meant a lot to not only our family, but to the people he worked with in his different roles throughout his life and the community of Sarnia Lambton as a whole. He was strong, stoic, respectful to all, and carried himself with grace and dignity matched by no other. He was born in Wingham, Ontario, May 14, 1951, and was the middle of 3 boys. He began attending Conestoga College in Kitchener in the journalism program after finishing high school. This is where he met his wife, my mother Penny, his soulmate and best friend. They were married for 50 years. My parents moved to Sarnia in 1972 and had 3 children. They went on to raise us here and make Sarnia Lambton home. I am the middle, my sister the eldest, and my brother the baby of the family. My dad raised us to be strong, independent, and resilient individuals, which is how I continue to try to live every day. His 6 grandchildren were the light of his life. He was dedicated to them and wanted to spend every moment he could with them. On April 23, 2022, just shy of his 71st birthday, our family received the worst news we could have imagined. My father had been diagnosed with grade 4 glioblastoma brain cancer, and it was incurable. We didn't know much about it other than it was the same devastating disease that Gord Downey of the Tragically Hip lost his life to. He was given months to maybe only weeks to live. We could never have imagined this would have happened to my bright, vibrant, active father. We were crushed. My mom and dad were each other's whole world. My mom dedicated herself to being my dad's sole caregiver and wanted nothing more than to be with my dad until he took his final breath. In the months after my father's diagnosis, he underwent brain surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy, and fought to have as much time with us as he could. He fought to be there for his 50th wedding anniversary, my brother's wedding, to be able to finish his term on Point Edward Council, another Christmas, spend one last summer vacation in Port Elgin, and many memories that are forever locked into our hearts. But December 2022, we knew he was starting to slow down, and the tumor was growing. He was losing his vision, his ability to speak and walk. We knew we were faced with a difficult decision. In February 2023, we as a family made the decision to move Dad into St. Joseph's Hospice. We were frightened and felt a sense of guilt that his final days would not be at home.
I had the privilege of being married to Larry for 50 amazing years, which included the tragic last 17 months of his life. I say amazing because Larry faced his diagnosis with the same way he lived his life, with courage, grace, and determination to fight for as much time as he could have with our 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and myself. I wanted him home with me as long as possible, but towards the end, he was having too many falls, so we decided for safety reasons it was time for hospice. Due to a pending ice storm, instead of a day or 2 to acclimatize to our realization he was leaving our home never to return, hospice called and came and took him the same day. Probably better for all of us, with no time to acknowledge he was really leaving us because he had battled so long and hard, exceeding and surpassing doctors' timelines. When I arrived at hospice, Larry was settled in his room. I was greeted with welcoming arms, giving me reassurance that he was where he needed to be and would receive the utmost care, respect, and dignity as possible. Hospice isn't just about our loved one, but about the whole family. The care and compassion they showed to all of us was wonderful. We have the utmost respect for all involved with this facility. The care they gave to Larry and all of us takes exceptional people with empathy for the families facing the loss of their loved one. The grandchildren felt safe in this environment, loved visiting their grandpa, not to mention the treats in the lounge, learning to play 31 with me. And yes, we played for dimes, but everyone ended with what they started with. This allowed time for their parents to have time alone with their dad. How can I put into words the memories that hospice gave me? Yes, my life partner left me, but I was able to be with him as promised when he took his last breath. Our oldest grandson turned 16 and celebrated his birthday with his grandpa, telling him he had passed his beginner's license that day. Our 4.5-year-old granddaughter, unprompted, asked me, "Do you remember how Grandpa, her and I would play hide and seek behind the trees on our walks? How she felt comfortable enough to crawl on the bed to kiss her grandpa goodbye when it was time for her to leave." Giving the opportunity for families, friends, and colleagues time to say final goodbyes. Soup, yes. Kindness, yes. Exceptional care, yes. The gathering of staff when Larry left hospice was so respectful.
On the morning of St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2023, after 24 days at St. Joseph's Hospice, my father went to his eternal resting place, my mother by his side. My father's legacy lives on in us and our children. As we now walk through life on this grief journey, one thing for sure is that we will be forever grateful for the care and compassion our entire family was given during our time at the hospice. This place went from a strange, scary, unknown to an actual fond, familiar place that will forever hold a special place in our hearts. Thank you for giving us the space to do right by my dad and let him pass with the grace and dignity that he truly deserved. We encourage everyone to make a donation and invest in this exceptional resource that our community is very fortunate to have.
Thank you.
Thank you.